Let's have a little bit of an update, a blast from the past on Carly the electric mower. So this thing has been so much work at the end of this winter. It kept on cutting out, and I finally traced the problem down to a stripped thread on the contactor in there, which meant that the connection was no good and was getting too hot and cutting out. So I fixed that in a slightly iffy way. The thread was gone. I couldn't put a new stud in there because it's a contactor, but I found a way. So fix that. First test run after that, and this cable here, this connection got so hot that the washer went cherry red, and you can see that the mount for the stud into the motor has melted. It's actually like buried itself in there. So this is a new cable with I think the crimped joint was the problem, so it's got a nice new crimp. So again, poor connection leading to heat, leading to problems. And also I felt like the contact area wasn't very great, so I've used a couple of bits of chopped up Nissan Leaf copper buzz bar to give it big copper washers both sides to conduct electricity in. Here is the old one. So yeah, it got pretty damned hot, and you can also see that I haven't cut it open, but that crimp joint there does not look great. Okay, so I fixed all of that. Marvellous. Then I tried starting mowing again, and it kept on throwing its belt, which is why instead of there being a mowing deck there, there's a mowing deck there. And looking at the belt, it had worn out. Where is the belt? Has somebody stolen my belt? Nope, there's the belt. You're probably not going to learn much, but anyway, yeah, very worn out. So great. Take the belt off and get a new one, and also probably take the blades off and get them sharpened. But as you can probably guess from this and that, even with my bestest cheap high energy impact gun, that one's not moving, so it can soak in WD-40 for a while. As if all of that isn't enough, there's somebody on YouTube who I may well link in the comments if I get around to it, who, instead of doing what I did, which is copied someone who uses a hydrostatic transmission mower, in other words, it's kind of automatic. What you've got, again, there's good videos about it on YouTube explaining it, but what you've got is a sequence of silly belts coming from the motor, well, a silly belt, down to the transaxle at the back, and in there is a hydraulic pump. And when you use this pedal, you're not changing the speed of the motor, you're changing how much of the hydraulic pump is going, and that's really good for control and, you know, getting it smooth and going at just the speed you want, but it's terrible for efficiency. So there's a guy on YouTube who I mentioned at the start of this who has been doing these kind of conversions but with normal drive mowers, and so his motor has actually been just at the back, driving directly just one small pulley into the rear transaxle, and then he's also had motors one per blade, things that I've been meaning to do for ages, and he uses so much less power. He runs it off a couple of little 36 volt batteries, not some custom made giant brick. And I've been kind of wanting to do this upgrade on this mower, but I thought, oh, you know, there's just one job, and then I can mow some grass, because the grass is getting long. And then, like, when I have time, I'll do the upgrade. And one job turns to two jobs, turns to three jobs. Anyway, just an update to let. Anyway, that's just an update to let you know that the project, this Carly thing, has been mowing the grass for years and years and years, and still works despite me grumbling about it. Tesla modules. That's a different project that there might be a video about, or it might be secret. But anyhow, down there is a back axle and electric motor from a Ryobi, and if I can find a brake drum for that end, I can drop that onto my mower, and that'll be the drive much more efficient. But sadly, finding brake drums for Ryobi mowers is not easy. The reason I have this is that someone who has one of these, bought brand new, as in the whole mower, it broke, that brake drum broke, and they replaced that whole thing rather than replacing the drum. Yeah, if anybody knows where I can get those from, I'd be keen to hear, or if anybody wants a machining project. Anyway, enough ramblings from me. Been quiet for a long while. I guess I feel a little bit like YouTube's gone professional, and my shaky videos are no longer cool. Maybe some of you disagree, I don't know, but yeah, sorry for not keeping up, and have a nice day.